Let's take you live to the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese now with his Rabbitohs hat on, Green Island, Queensland, the seat of Leichhardt.
Not just to our environmental sustainability, it's also a key to our economic future. If we don't take climate change seriously, we'll go back into the naughty corner at those international conferences where we were for such a very long period of time. And our commitment to net zero, our commitment to 43% reduction in emissions by 2030 is paired with the action that's taking place here, where you have an economic powerhouse in the Great Barrier Reef as well as an environmental asset. Great Barrier Reef directly is worth 64,000 jobs here in Queensland, but the indirect flow on, of course, is many more tens of thousands of jobs on top of that. Because one of the attractions of coming to Australia is to come to this part of the world, and then people will go to a capital city or Uluru or Kakadu or other sites. But the Great Barrier Reef is a magnet for the world. And in order for it to be a magnet for the world who want to see a pristine environment, we need to be able to show that we're behaving responsibly and sustainably, and that is what we are doing. This reef program that we're announcing today will provide $6 million for Kids for the Reef, for young people who wouldn't get the opportunity otherwise to see the reef firsthand, but also $1 million for local tourism operators and $3 million to tropical North Queensland, to tourism, to go out there and tell the world what's happening here as well as a major attraction. Now, we know that this is absolutely critical. When we came to government 3 years ago, 100 jobs at the Australian Institute of Marine Science were at risk because the previous government had cut funding. We know that the funding cuts to public servants were confirmed last night by Angus Taylor as still being their position. You can't cut 41,000 public servants without having a severe impact on what is delivered. Today I have another announcement as well that is so important. It's one that links this region with our commitment to better education outcomes and better health outcomes. We've already announced major health funding, including 2 urgent care clinics here. But today I can announce that we'll deliver an additional $27.5 million to construct a health and engineering wing at Central Queensland University's Cairns campus. This will mean more students can study closer to home and help close workforce shortages. One of the issues here that's been identified by Matt as our candidate is radiology here in, not just in Cairns, but of course on the Cape as well. We need to make sure that we can train more people so that people can get services closer to where they live. This will open, this facility, in 2028. It will double nursing student capacity from 630 to 1,260 to address workforce shortages. It will expand facilities to accommodate growth in physio, OTs, clinical exercise, physiology, addressing the projected workforce shortages. But importantly as well, it will accelerate the delivery of the Bachelor of Medical Imaging, bringing forward commencement to 2026. As a direct result, Central Queensland University will make that announcement later today. This will help to secure a pipeline in demand graduates sooner. It will expand the total student cohort here in Cairns from 4,000 up to 6,000. It builds on our $50 million investment in the 2022-23 budget handed down in October, our first budget for a Central Queensland University campus in the Cairns CBD. And of course, it is a part of our strengthening of Medicare that has to deliver increased services, but also a better and stronger workforce as well. And I say to Matt, it's an extraordinary commitment that you've shown to this local community, bringing forward ideas like this to make sure that the gaps are filled. And this will fill an enormous gap here in tropical North Queensland. I'm very proud we're able to make this announcement today. I'll turn to the Health Minister and then our Great Barrier Reef Envoy, and then we're happy to take some questions. We'll do locals first and then take from the travelling party.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thanks again, Matt and Nita, for hosting us here, and to Mark for hosting us on the trip here to Green Island. This is just a terrific announcement. Australians would have heard us talking right through this term, but particularly over recent months, about our plans to strengthen Medicare, to deliver more free visits to the doctor, cheaper medicines, urgent care clinics. But we know if we're expanding health services, we have to expand the health workforce. And we also know if you train in a community like Cairns, you are much more likely to stay there, to build a career and a life there as a doctor, a nurse or an allied health professional. That's why our commitment last election to build an end-to-end medical school program here in Cairns was so important. It's up and running. Medical students are already training here in Cairns, and we know that program at James Cook University will mean there are more doctors available in Cairns and the surrounding regions. The announcement today will mean there are more nurses, more physios, more occupational therapists, and importantly, as Matt Smith has said to me so many times, more radiologists here in Cairns and the surrounding community. This builds, as the Prime Minister said, on our commitment a couple of years ago of $50 million to CQU. They've been talking to us for some time, and certainly to Matt Smith and Nita Green, about expanding that commitment to make sure that we can train even more young people in those critical areas of health workforce. Our department has been in discussions for some time with the Queensland Government about some of the challenges accessing breast screening services, for example, here in Cairns and up on the Cape. We have to find a short-term solution to that between levels of government, and I'm committed to us doing that. But the long-term solution is training more radiologists here locally. 86% of CQU graduates here in Cairns stay in the region. Build a life here, build a family and a career here. And that's what this announcement is all about. It builds on our announcements to train more GPs across the country, to train 1,200 more mental health workers that the Prime Minister and I only announced a couple of days ago. I say again, you can't strengthen Medicare without building the health workforce, and building it in regions like this is a critical part of our commitment.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for this really important announcement today about CQ University. As Mark said, this is a game changer here for our community, because we know that training doctors is incredibly important, but training allied health professionals is important as well. And what this commitment will do is give the university the certainty that it needs to build a facility that this community can be proud of, and that will train regional, local nurses, radiologists and allied health professionals for generations to come. It is something that I know Matt Smith has been fighting for since becoming a candidate, and I know it is something that the community has been calling for as well. We know that when you train people locally, they're more likely to stay and work in regional areas. And that's why this is such an important announcement for our community that has been struggling to get those types of professionals here. It should not be the case that you should have to get on a plane to get the health services that you need. And because of this commitment by the Albanese Labor government, that is no longer going to be the case here in Cairns. I might make a few comments on the reef, given my special position as the Special Envoy for the Great Barrier Reef, before we go to questions. I'm incredibly proud of the announcement that we are making today, but more broadly, I'm really proud of our government's investment into the Great Barrier Reef. We have delivered record funding, $1.2 billion of funding to protect the Great Barrier Reef. That includes $500 million of water quality funding to improve the quality of the water running into the Great Barrier Reef. As the Prime Minister said, we saved 100 jobs at the Australian Institute of Marine Science, and we're finally valuing marine science again. We saved Reef HQ from demolition because it was so badly underfunded by the Coalition. We have worked really closely with the Queensland Government to phase out gill net fishing by 2027 on the Great Barrier Reef, and we're working with farmers, First Nations people and the tourism industry in partnerships that are making a real difference. On top of the announcement we've made today, we're also extending the Tourism Reef Protection Initiative, a program that has tourism operators out there performing reef protection programs. Since its inception, that program has delivered 20,000 reef health surveys, and as a strange fact, 300,000 Drupella snails have been removed from the coral reefs. And this is the type of work that we can do when we work in partnership. This is a really important program, and tourism operators have told me that it is something that has kept staff in the region because they really want to be part of the conservation piece as well. So I want to thank Mark from TTNQ and the team here at Green Island for having us here today. The reef is such an important economic driver for our region. It is, when you protect the reef, you protect Queensland jobs. And that is something that Peter Dutton never understands and never will understand. The climate change is the biggest risk to the reef, but we know that Peter Dutton is the second biggest risk to the reef right now. His risky, reckless nuclear plan will delay the climate action that we need to protect the jobs that we are talking about today. We know that he does not have a plan to protect the Great Barrier Reef, not in real terms or reputationally. There is a reason that UNESCO said that the difference between our government and the former coalition government was night and day. Peter Dutton wants to take us backwards, but when it comes to the reef, we can't afford to go back to that dark time. We need to keep protecting the reef, protecting the jobs that are created by the reef, and protecting regions like this in the future.